One of Uganda's recommendations to be able to improve the economic performance is reduction in taxes, and this has always come from the young people on the ground who are also our young entrepreneurs in this country. Now, with the COVID-19 pandemic amidst us, URA is yet to be seen whether they can actually hit the target they have set for the financial year 2020-2021.
My name is Sandra Letio. I'm from Pelere Group Limited. We basically were in manufacturing. We manufacture quality detergents and cosmetics from shea butter. We run 2 locations in Gulu, where we work basically with farmers, and also down in Nakavugo in the central area. And we have been in existence for over 10 years now. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Shubra Kosozi Naiga. I'm a student of law at Uganda Christian University, 4th year. I am a businesswoman. I am the CEO at the corporate hangar. So generally, I'm a young person who does not only study, but also engages in business and leadership.
Well, so you heard from our guests, and now tax revenue is one of the most critical sources of income for any given government, and for Uganda it is very evident that when we hear the Uganda Revenue Authority speaking year in, year out, the interest is on getting taxes, and mostly it's from these businesses that you just heard about from our guests. Let's find out from them what the experience has been like with the tax collection in this country.
Yes, I think the taxes are a little bit overwhelmed. First of all, there are very many taxes you have to pay, and at different levels you're going to meet these taxes. For me, it's you have to learn first of all how you pay these taxes, most of them, because you have to have the information on payment, but also you have to have the information on how to do it and what tax to pay for. In my experience, I've been able to study taxation even as a course unit in my second degree. But the thing is, the challenge is the tax is complicated. It's a complicated process. Being complicated keeps you, first of all, it makes you not even know what to do first. So you have to, well, as a business person, you have to get to know what tax to pay for. And for me in manufacturing, it was one of those things I had to go to learn. What tax am I supposed to pay? Who do I pay that tax? What stage do I pay these taxes? But the fact that there are many, they even confuse you as an entrepreneur at the first set. So for me, I think that's the first thing. There are very many taxes we are paying for. But also secondly, the taxes are high, and that depends on which tax you're paying for still. For example, I'll give an example. When government tells me to pay 30% of income tax, maybe let me say per year of the profits we make, I require them to also put in me the input of how, because I'm already giving them shareholding in the company by force, not even when you want it. The different taxes, different categories, from your village level, because you have things like trading licenses that you have to pay. For us who have vehicles that move in districts, we have to pay them for the vehicles moving in those districts, accessing these markets. Then also you come to the URA taxes, the direct taxes, not only the local government taxes, but also the direct taxes from government. So first of all, the taxes are many. Then second of all, the tax education. I've done a course unit, but trust me, I also still don't understand taxation. Because every new year they renew the laws, So you have to keep on getting educated. You have to keep on getting to know. Now, me, I'm educated, at least to university. Now, pity the person who's not educated and they're running a business.
So tell me your experience with the taxes or with your engagement with the URA officials and so many other government officials that are involved within businesses in Uganda.
Now, first of all, I'd like to categorically state that I am not anti-tax. I believe that taxation is one of the most important tools of internal revenue mobilization for any nation. It's a question of, one, priorities, but secondly, a question of implementation methods to achieve this particular revenue mobilization. As a young person who studies and works at the same time, of course, I'd like to maximize profit in my businesses, to be able to support myself as a young person, but also support other people around me. Now, it gets hard when the cost of effecting my business gets higher, because that then means that I'm going to have to turn the cost implication onto my customers. that in itself turns away customers. It does not encourage sales, neither does it encourage demand. The issues I could say I'm facing right now is, first of all, we deal in suits at the corporate hangar. Suits are both tailor-made and imported. Now, on both ends, it's actually being problematic because the import duty for importing materials that make suits, fiber that makes suits in itself is high. But also, even if you wanted to import the suits themselves, it's going to be a high import duty. When that happens, it's going to mean that the tailors are going to be expensive. The whole process of you actually attaining a suit at the end of the day is going to be expensive. Why should that happen? Recently, we were having a discussion with Siatini among the youth about this particular concept, and somebody said that these things actually favor some people. The fact that import duty is high in itself encourages internal production, and I'd like to beg to differ on that particular point, because how do you expect people to produce when they do not have internal capacity? That we indeed work on having the import duty in itself fair, such that people can continue in business. My business is a startup business, so I'd expect and hope that it gets to see its 5th birthday. But that's something that has not happened for many youth startups, and I hope mine gets to reach that particular point. But you see, it becomes cliche if we continue saying the same thing year in, year out. The question of whether people internally can mobilize resources and create products is something that remains unanswered, and I will answer it in this way. In Uganda, in as much we want to increase production and more industry and craftsmanship, the capacity for young people and even non-young people in itself is low. So if the government wants to actually shift and create that balance, let them support people internally and not just support them on paper, because that's something that has been said many times and again.
What is the feeling that you get, you as a young person, and how does that translate in your brain, in your chain of thought when you watch that?
I know they are taxing body, the country that we have, and they are really working so hard. But also one thing I also know is they're not the people that implement. They work with Ministry of Finance to be able to put this together. And I think the challenge between when URA collects to the Ministry of Finance, I think for me that's where the challenge is, basically. But over the years I've been in business, I've really seen improvements in URA also.
So would you say that, sorry to interrupt, would you say that their collection is okay,
yes,
but the chain between URA and the Ministry of Finance,
yes,
would you say it's okay on the ground how they collect the taxes, how the officials interact with you business people on the ground?
I think URA is improving, to be honest.
That's good.
I've had some challenges, but when you approach URA, they are listening these days. They are putting more trainings out there on the media. They used to even move around. I think they are improving, but I know they can do better, because also I've seen them translating literature from English to other languages, but I still think they can do better, because each time they are working on a tax, they really should involve the people who are affected by those taxes. I think for me it's what I'm really encouraging them to do. Because you see, when I'm helped as a person, or when my road is constructed, I'll feel so proud to even pay more taxes. Or when I reach the hospital and I find medicines there, I'll feel very proud to pay those taxes. I think for me that's where URA probably, that's where right now the improvement is a lot from the year when I started business to now. Let's have them helping an entrepreneur, helping a business person, and holding a business person. I'll be willing to pay these taxes, I'll be willing to do the pay and all these taxes, but when I'm seeing you're adding value to me as a person, as a business.
You see, if you charge me OTT tax, which I personally pay very jealously, but at the end of the day, if you pay that tax and the road I use from home to school is properly constructed, I'm not going to complain. Yeah, because that means I have value for my money. Is it a question of being taxed, or rather how the taxes are being used? For most of us Ugandans, the answer lies in how taxes are being used, and that goes back to accountability and transparency. You talked about forestry, the tourism sector, and the like. Those sectors bring in money, but we should understand that we have one of the youngest populations in the world, but secondly, the fertility rate in Uganda is just amazing and wowing. On a daily, the population keeps growing. We have different sectors, but they work to complement each other. Last year I was in Bwindi Impenetrable Forest. We were working on something with UNESCO, appreciating culture and heritage. And when we were there, we were actually given statistics of how much money comes in through Bwindi Impenetrable. It's amazing. These are amazing figures, but we cannot do away with the fact that taxes are unessential. Now, it's a question of accountability, but secondly, do we have a just tax system? It's called tax justice. Now, instead of us thinking about these other things or avenues which are already being harnessed by government, let's think about the concept of tax justice. If at all government wants to tax a particular individual, they should consider, one, how many years have they spent in business? Secondly, are they in position to pay the tax yet? What percentages shall we be taxing these particular people? Yeah, you talked about women in selling tomatoes. I'm sure for them what affects them mostly is the VAT, because direct income taxes don't get to affect them since they don't have stable fixed incomes coming through. So my point therefore is that it should be a fair tax justice system, or a justiciable system that we are operating with as far as taxes are concerned, but also we should be in position to harness multinational corporations.
Thank you very much, Shubra, for that observation and for those things that you brought at the forefront as we celebrate the Youth Month 2020. Now, Sandra, to you. Let's, in the same spirit, talk about the things that you have observed as a young person and in business about how Uganda can collect revenue aside from direct taxation.
Just like I think she mentioned about Singapore and our country, Uganda. You know, when I started business, at that time as a young person, because I was about 23 years, 22, I was young, but I noticed so many things. A foreign investor was considered more than a local investor right here. And even the preferential treatments, how they were treated, was more of what a local investor could get. Yet these people take out the profits out of the country. But over years, I'm seeing a little bit of more improvement, but still, I think we can do still better as government. Because you see, a local investor, 80%, 90% of the people they employ will be Ugandans in the country. When a foreign investor comes, they come with most of their people. I work in these companies and I see they have multinationals that work for them. So I think for me right now, if I was government, I would be thinking, how can I make my people productive? But also the fact that they want to sustain themselves. You get it? Because maybe they're not doing anything. They're not being productive. If someone is productive, they won't be bought cheaply. But if government could be able to put in these incubation centers more money, more funding, in either product design, skilling, in either financing, because you see, if I walk to the bank now, I have a business, a few people will be able to access a kind of volume of money. You know, I know they're talking about the giving out of this money. I don't believe in giving out of that money. The one of forming groups and all that, I don't believe in it yet. It's a concept that is good, but it's a wrong concept for the wrong people. Because you see, you're giving me money, I don't have a shared value with these people. If they could help businesses, because I was asking myself, why would they go to build a road in Congo? And yet most roads, even where I pick from the shea, I take a longer time to bring the shea to Kampala because the roads are not properly done. I think government should also concentrate on exports. Give funding to Uganda Promotion Board to be able to help entrepreneurs, to be able to design products, to be able to help them grow and see that we have more exports going out of the country than more imports coming in.